It's 6:08 on January 28th. I'm calling this meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order.
Could I make a request, by the way? I've been sitting on that side on many occasions, and I've never heard be able to understand the people speaking on this table. The phone, this thing works fine when you're watching on YouTube, but the people over here can't really understand. So I'm requesting that when we speak loud enough so that people over there can understand. Do you all agree?
Yes.
Thank you.
You told them that a long time ago. That was sound.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you that we're all able to gather and make decisions to help better our communities. I hope we can have kind, respectful debate, conversations tonight. And we pray for your wisdom in making these decisions. We're thankful for our community. Through Jesus I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So if you have a chance to look at the minutes,
I have, yeah.
they look, decent or corrections.
No, it's fine. I didn't see anything.
You have a chance to look. That's your minutes. Have no additions and no corrections. Minutes are approved as presented. Citizens input. Do I have anybody that's on BPA citizen input? Let's move on to number 5 here. Determination that an 18-wheeler tractor trailer parking rest stop is allowed in the C2 General Commercial District. Can you explain to us, Catherine?
I'll be glad to. Is the applicant here?
Yes, I'm here.
As you know, this property is zoned C2. You have a blow up of the proposed site and the layout in your agenda package. So this is a use that is on review. It is not expressly allowed in the C2 district, and so it is referred to the Board of Zoning Appeals to make an interpretation of whether this is in keeping with your C2 district. The site identifies 260 semi-parking spaces, and there are no, that I can determine, any services with the exception of the proposed shower and bathhouse.
That is correct.
This is not a commercial operation in that you typically see at a Pilot or a Love's or something along those lines.
Correct.
That provide a number of services. It is on a road that is a county road. This is a very, very minor county road. I think the pavement is 17 feet wide. It's 0.7 miles south of the White Pine interchange with I-40 or 81. You can see the right of way of 81 just to the north, top of your photo. There's even a semi-truck that's shown on the interstate, which I thought was nice.
Yes.
Imagine that.
The concern, I do have some concerns about this.
Okay.
The length of stay for, and I'll just run through those and then you can address them.
Okay, let me grab my pen so I can kind of jot them down as we go.
Okay, and I'm sure we can make a copy of that available to you. The length of stay for the semi-trucks, is security to be provided? Do patrons occupy the cab of the truck overnight? If they do, will diesel engines, typically in semi-trucks are, if the truck is supposed to have a HVAC or electrical service, then the diesel engine has to be active. Will those diesel engines run overnight? Any other services to be provided? Is there a check-in facility or any security that will be there to keep an eye on the signs? Will guests be allowed? The plan provided does not match the Tennessee property mule with regard to the size and configuration of lots. I think these are really serious issues. One of the things that concerns me most, aside from the air quality impact, would be that Phillips Road is a county road, meaning that it's owned by the county, it's maintained by the county. This is a 17-foot wide road. You're looking at 260 semi-trucks. If they are all fully loaded, that road is almost certainly not built to industrial standards, which you typically see with semi-trucks of this nature. That's I think by your subgrades, that's a 10-inch base, 8-inch subgrade, and probably 3 inches of top coat. Any damage to this road would be at the expense of the owner. So I think before anything is determined, that needs to be determined what the makeup and composition of the road is, and then an anticipated impact on the integrity of that roadway.
Okay.
Also, you don't show turning movements. The ingress egress out here is not identified in any way.
Yes.
And
these are very preliminary, for sure. Just
I understand.
to say the
But
least.
in order to determine is this the zone that would best accommodate that use,
Okay.
those are the questions that need to be answered.
Okay.
I cannot recommend that the planning commission approve this as a use until more information is provided.
Understandable.
Offsite impact of just the diesel fumes off this facility, if the engines are running all nights, is significant. You're also in a non-attainment area for air quality conformity. You're in a maintenance area, and this would be a significant impact on that. So those are my comments, and
Is Phillips Road a high traffic area or not?
It's not really that high traffic area. I mean, there is quite a bit of movement going back and forth on the road. There is a truck repair shop that's just down the street, and he has semi-trucks coming in and out all the time as he works on them, and he's 2 sites over from where I'm at. So how could, and my question to as far as what if we damaged it, how do we know, other than up to a certain point, how would he may have damaged some of it, because he's got semi-trucks coming up and down it all the time.
I think that would have to be referred to the county road superintendent.
Okay.
When these issues have come up in other areas, there's been an analysis of the construction of the roadway.
Sure. Okay.
Once again, that's a lot of semi-trucks.
Now, the amount is going to be reduced quite a bit because we've actually changed, which I know that this is still just a preliminary drawing and we don't have anything 100% definite. But we're we're gonna actually do pull-through spots, which will basically cut this number about in half. So that we don't have any pull-ins and back-outs and have a lot of issues. They'll just be diagonal parking, is my plan there on as far as how many trucks will come in and out. And my main focus is to try to get people who are local owner-operators that don't have anywhere to park their semi-trucks. You know, you have a spot here with us, and you've got one, you know, as long as you pay your monthly bill, you have a spot here all the time. Anytime that you want to come in. Now that's not really lined out here, but that's kind of my back area section of where I would like to. We don't have everything quite 100% planned out. Basically, I have an investor that is wanting to do this because he's seen this in other places. And he basically gave it to me and see if I could get it down the pike and see if it was even entertainable. And so I had this drawn up as a preliminary drawing just to kind of give everybody an idea of what we were kind of thinking. Now I know there's quite a bit of changes. I know as far as where it's lined out in the site, and I didn't have this survey. This is just basically Google Maps, a blow up of that, and then an overlay of an idea. And as far as security, now it will be fenced off completely and entirely. And basically you'll have an access control, either, probably not a keypad, probably more like through your app. A lot of these drivers use apps to park and do all these different things, so it'll be through the app that they'll actually scan, and then the gate will open. And then we'll drive out, you know, actually pull up to the gate, and then it'll open up like we do for our storage customers there. That's kind of the idea is there, and I know that it's very vague because I don't have elevations, I don't have any of the normal things that we would normally see. Now I know I'll have to do some things about storm. You know, as far as runoff goes, it'll probably start as a gravel, you know, with a asphalt fine put down on it and actually compact it in the beginning phase. Because we're going to try to see, like, is this going to work? You know, I mean, we feel like it's going to work, and I feel like there's enough local truck drivers who own and operate that can't park their rigs somewhere that this would benefit them a lot. Because I'm more in the storage game, not really the truck stop kind of idea.
So,
but we'll have some overnight parking, because I'm sure there's going to be some that want to use it as such. But my main goal is, as storage minded as I am, is for locally owned owner operators to be able to park their rigs, not in subdivisions, not in, you know, seedy spots.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Yeah. I want to know, is this an industrial, wants to be a C2? What exactly, what is the slant curving zone at? What is it?
it is currently zone C2, and the proposed use is not a permitted use. So if the Board of Zoning Appeals is charged with determining, is the use similar enough in the allowable uses that you want to determine that it should be allowable as well.
It's an uncategorized thing. Is that pretty much what it is? It's not really.
Can I also add that the property, that adjoining property, it's part of it's on the adjoining property, which is zoned A1. So he knows that if it comes to that, we're going to have to rezone that portion to C2 in order for him to do the site plan.
Correct. I know I've got a lot of footwork ahead of me. That is for sure. Basically, I'm just trying to see, is this something, if we met in all the parameters that you want me to meet in, and off of this list, if that grows, then basically I'm putting that into the cause and effect. Are we going to be able to make this work? Is it going to be feasible for the county? Is it going to be feasible for us? So we don't sink a bunch of money into a project that goes nowhere. So I'm just trying to make sure to hit all these points in the beginning. Before I start spending a lot of money on surveying and architects and...
No, until it's been determined to be an allowable use, you really shouldn't.
Correct.
For our new member, C2 is our general commercial district. The intent of the district is to establish areas for compatible business activities, high visibility, ease of accessibility. And so it's your It's your primary commercial district. Other things that are allowed are commercial convenience markets, gas stations, laundries, rental stores, restaurants, drugstores, grocery stores, florists, agricultural or commercial activities, including automobile sales, truck sales, mobile home sales, agricultural implements, hardware stores, bookstores, furniture stores, apparel stores. So any kind of retail operation. It does accommodate hotels, motels, daycares, many warehouses, public uses including post offices, libraries, schools, emergency and non-emergency services, and government offices. Professional services like surveyor's office, insurance offices, attorney, financial services, banks, lending institutions, medical services, personal services like barbershops, beauty shops, indoor recreation, video arcades, pool rooms, bowling alleys, skating rinks, outdoor recreation, golf courses, driving ranges, repair shops, jewelry, clocks, shoes, guns, appliances, semi-public uses, churches, cemeteries, lodges, and clubs, outdoor storage of motor vehicles, conditions such as airports, kennels, flea markets, micro distilleries, micro breweries, solar energy systems and wind energy systems, custom slaughterhouses, and accessory buildings. So those are the uses that are allowed expressly. So the Board of Zoning Appeals charges to interpret whether this is an allowable, similar enough to any of those that it warrants approval.
Excuse me, what's your name?
My name's RJ Graham.
RJ Graham.
We don't really know how many spaces he's going to be using, right? How many trucks he's going
Correct.
to have.
Correct. Don't really quite know, like, I would say, to err on the side of caution, I would say about half those spaces. So we had estimated there was going to be, yes, okay. So 130 spots, roughly, is what we're thinking. And I'm thinking in our market research as far as what other facilities like this do, as far as people who own and operate and have spots all the time. Doesn't mean they're there all the time, and most of the time, they're not even sitting in their truck, because they're just getting in their personal car and driving it straight home. So that's really more of the market that I want to try to hit, and I think that it would be a big value to a lot of people. And as far as, fleet vehicles, fleet trucks, and, needing a place to park and drop would be something that we would want to try as well.
Another thing that I think staff has expressed some concern is it would need approval of their septic system.
That's correct. Yes, have to go through the health department on that as well.
Would you be?
Environment.
Yes. Yeah, we look at how many people's there on a daily basis, and then have showers and things like that. Take all that consideration to make sure that he's got an area to accommodate what he proposed to do there also.
Absolutely.
That would be the first approval before he ever even, got a look to see if he's capable to do what he wanted to do. How many acres do you have there?
It's 27 altogether. The storage occupies about 6 acres right now currently. And the other side of the creek, we are not proposing that we're going to do anything with. My dad we've been building a house for my dad over here.
You probably have enough room to accommodate that problem, but, runoff is going to be one of the biggest issues there, and having to storm water.
Yeah. That's why I'm thinking more of like a permeable driving surface would be a lot better as far as other than asphalt and funneling a lot of things over. But that's definitely something that we can look at as far as what you guys would like to see.
You can't use permeable surfaces with semi trucks.
Okay. Okay,
Permeable surfaces are used to offset stormwater runoff, but you can't use them with semi-trucks. Usually it's
Okay.
permeable pavers or permeable asphalt. They're easily compacted, and if you compact them, they cease to function.
okay, gotcha. Okay. So, not necessarily that way, we have to figure out what exactly we're gonna do with scuppers or.
How do neighbors feel about this facility being built in their neighborhood? Are there neighbors around this area that would be, if I lived in that area, I would be very unhappy. Are there any other neighbors in that area that would not be thrilled by their?
The only one is basically my storage facility, which is right here. There is a house, you see if you look at your paper there, this is a property line. There's a house that sits over here, pretty good ways away from any of this noise. And then on the other side is my dad's house. And then there's another house probably 1,000 or so feet away from that.
So there are not that many, it's not a congested area.
No, sir. No, sir, not at all.
But you also need to look at what it's zoned, because if it can be used for residential property,
Right.
then you don't want to do something that adversely affects off-site, that now they can't use it because of noise, glare, lights. Assume that you're going to have some level of security.
Yeah, have some
you're going
lights
to have
there.
a lot of lights.
Absolutely.
That would be another aspect to consider.
More questions? You have any more questions? Do you have any questions?
So how do you feel about the zoning parameters as far as, is this something that would fit into that? If I checked all the boxes, everything else is all in theory good to go, would this type of something be okay in the C2 classification?
I don't know if that much traffic on a road that's no bigger than that is gonna cause a problem or not. And then, like you said, you may be going between two different people. No, your trucks cost that, no, your trucks cost that, you know. I don't know about that much traffic on, a road that's really not built to handle semis all the time. But
Can I ask one question though about the road? If there is the semi-truck shop that's 2 properties over from me, and he's driving on the same road, how was that not thought about? I guess the amount of volume, of course, he probably drives about, I don't know, 50 to 60 trucks probably a day up and down that road. And so like, I'm just kind of wondering about the fairness as far as like, how does that work between this to that?
yeah, understand, it's just,
Sure. I mean, and I'd be happy if I was gonna, right, sure. And which volume is more and who's what's what.
right,
You know, if I was to pay to say, extend all the shoulders to actually widen the road, you know, I mean, I'm trying to just figure out how I could get this done and what you guys would like to see
right.
happen in that situation.
Once again, I think the width of the roadway is one issue, and that sounds like what your concern is. The other is the construction of the road itself. And would this volume create damage that the taxpayers of this county would have to foot the bill to repair?
Sure.
And so if the county road superintendent documents the condition of the roadway, and typically document the conditions, take pictures, and then if a number of damaged areas open up, then that would, usually that's passed on to the applicant.
Okay. I think that's fair.
No, I haven't talked to your road superintendent. Is he aware of this, or?
No.
Basically just trying to see if we're gonna get that, do I fit in that zoning classification? And are we able to
And
move?
the Board of Zoning Appeals, the board members will have to vote and make that determination.
Okay.
Or they also have the option of deferring it for additional information.
Okay.
Weighed in by the road superintendent, see what he feels about it.
Yeah, we can, get a copy of this to him, and if you wanna call him, I can give you that number tomorrow.
Okay, that'd be perfect.
And it might be helpful if, instead of them, having this as their document with 260 spaces, that it's shown as 130. And then maybe an estimate of, it sounds like part of this is storage, but a part of it is overnight.
Yeah, to see if we can utilize some more of the space to be able to bring in, more revenue. Don't want to kind of just put ourselves in only one basket, just in case we are right there on the interstate. And there is a big issue with trucks that park there on 81. I mean, they fill up the shoulders and everything. They don't.
But there's also like 3 truck stops, and then there's a state facility.
Yeah. Most of them are full.
A short distance away.
If you go see them each night, I've checked them all, and they just seem consistently full, and they have no room.
I can't speak to that, but
Sure.
So what is the motion to defer this?
I think we should, till we get more accurate information.
I'll second that.
And a motion to defer to withhold additional information. And a second, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say nay. I'm out. You out? I'm sorry. Aye. Ayes have it. So we're going to defer this till you get some additional information.
Now, is it just the information on this sheet right here, or as far as getting in touch with the highway department, or?
I think the staff can pass this consideration on to your road superintendent.
Yeah.
Okay, and just see if we can weigh in on it, maybe.
And I can give him your number.
Perfect.
That's okay.
Absolutely.
Talk, you need to look at it also.
I won't need to look at it until he comes back, kind of preliminary, or bring things in something to, verify what he actually proposed. If he's saying 200, then I'll leave 200. If he's saying he's gonna cut that in half, I need to know how many he's gonna have, and how many showers he's gonna have, and all this kind of stuff, so. Before I can look at anything, I'll need all that. The biggest thing, if you're proposing that, unless you're gonna get, I'll throw this at me, unless you're gonna get city sewer out there.
Which I would love to, if they would, when I get to that, I would love to have that.
Unless you're gonna have city sewer, you need to probably have contact soil science and have them do a general walkover
Correct.
on all that, and, you can contact Miles, and I'll give you a general idea of how much area you're gonna probably need to be looking at.
Okay.
On that.
Perfect. And as far as the parking spots and what you guys would allow, I'm flexible. If you say, well, we feel more comfortable at 100 spaces. If you say you have 100 spaces in the road, we feel like would be able to handle the volume, or 60, whatever it may be. Until we could get that point. If it's a smaller amount, I got to cut the truck parking down to very small until we can prove this is a viable thing, and it makes everybody happy. There's no problems, and we say, this is working really well. I'd like to expand it. What would it cost for me to fix the road or do these things? Is this a buildable thing? Like, could we do it in sections? That's the only other thing I had. Sorry.
We have deferred for additional information. Come back. Next up, we have a variance request of 15 foot on the front setback of lot 21 Dandridge Landing, 1519 David Swan Drive, damaged by Neil Stern, map 76D, Chris Bay, parcel R21. Is Neil Stern here?
I'm the builder.
They want you to come up.
I'm the builder, for Neil. Yeah, I saw you today. Okay.
So, you're needing a variance just for, topography hardship here on this.
Yes.
Well, that's what it is. What I think.
Needing a variance for what? You said what's the
It needs
purpose?
a 15-foot variance for topographical hardship.
Oh, okay,
I mean, state,
yeah.
it's state small law. It's 30 feet, variance of 15.
They have a copy of
Do they have a copy of that
that. It's in
aerial?
Yeah,
Okay.
at the back of your notes.
Because you can really see it good on,
Okay. There it is, two. But I don't think
Okay, yeah.
that's the wrong one, sorry.
Wrong one? Yeah, that's George. This. Right.
Which one?
It's on the back of your, the one for those land.
oh, here it is.
It's on the back.
If I could give you a little insight on this, because some of this had to do with septic,
Did it? Okay.
okay? Mr. Trent's excavator contacted me about it, and, there's an issue about the septic area, and location of it. And I told Stephanie that I would not allow, for him to even come in and consider a variance, because I thought he was gonna have that area that he wanted to grade, to get the house where it's more level of the road, take away from it. But we spent yesterday and today out there mapping a pump area to go to, off the property. And he can get the whole system there on that property, so we don't have to limit it on the area around his lot to septic. Because I know you're gonna ask about the septic, because it shows the septic area on there, so we're eliminating all the area for septic on that lot and putting it on the adjacent lot and then pump it to it.
Which lot would you,
This is his lot here.
oh, okay.
This, oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me get my glasses out. Yeah, this is his lot here.
Okay.
And this has got a no on it, ground road, and then it goes out and really drops off. And, we were using this up here for septic, some area here. So he wasn't gonna be able to get one, and then, we advised going over here and figuring out how to get the complete system primary reserve on the pump line that's already designated over here in this lot. And so I told him then, come in and ask the variance and see what y'all want to do.
So it's not going to one of the adjacent lots, it's actually going to.
Yes,
actually
yes. Subdivision put in a pump line for some lots in here. It pumps all the way back to the circle lot. There's like 4 lots in there for septic area.
Okay.
So that's where he's pumping to. then?
Yes.
Look on the
Yeah.
back, okay. It will actually be over here off the ground.
I actually went and saw it.
Oh, okay. So, one question I had, probably from Stephanie, the lots across the street appear that they have.
We've done numerous variances in that subdivision.
Because you can see from the aerial how close they are. So from that standpoint, it looks like it's been done before because the property falls off. Are these other lots, are they on the pump as well?
Some of it moved up is because of septic. Yeah,
Okay.
they don't have a lot.
Okay, right.
Some of that was done for it.
Some of it was private.
Yeah.
So between the grade issue and, the issue solved about the septic system. And you kind of set a precedence in terms of this being a peninsula and obviously falling off to the lake of granting variances. And it would be in keeping with the rest of the neighborhood. If anyone wants to, because for the area, you can really say that.
Yeah.
No, if we don't grant the variance, I think the half the house would have to be in the lake.
It sounds like it, which is the justification, and I would include that in your motion.
We have a motion,
I'll make that motion.
like the motion to the grant variance of 15 foot on the front of the wall. For the topographical hardship of the city. Concerns. So you second?
I do second, yes.
Motion and second, any more discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. That's all for the BCA.
I make a motion to adjourn the BCA.
Second. All in favor say aye. Let's move on to the plan section.
What is your name? Smith?
Tarzanic. I told the chairman that, very common extension. Tarzanic.
Oh, for sure.
Flanagan disease, Tarzanic.
Hear it every day. You got that?
You and Steve, Jefferson. You're retired, but you moved all the way to Union City. Gotcha.
Wow.
I love
That's, wow, it's real.
That's a two.
What time is it?
15 minutes to get up.
15.
I like the way you drink that.
That was not me to eat for, okay?
It's 6:46, I'm gonna call the planning commission, meeting of the planning commission to order. Everybody had a chance to go over the minutes from the last meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. All opposed, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. It's like our eyes have it this time. Get all the citizens input we got. So we have Catherine Pillar's on the agenda item for subdivision regs.
My input is complex, and it is somewhat related to agenda items, but probably more so to a non-agenda item. So I'm in a conundrum. I don't want to get, so I probably should wait to other business, but that's probably going to be really, really late.
We made a motion last time. And I was in the, in other business.
But their subregs are not on the agenda.
And that's fine.
Item C.
If she needs to come to that, we need to hear it now, and then the rest of it later.
It's commingled. I'll wait till the end. I don't want to cause a discussion or unhappiness with how I'm presenting. Thank you.
Let's move on to new business here. Looks like we have a rezoning request from C2 general commercial to A1 agricultural forestry for property located at 2402 Highway 2570 West, Strawberry Plains by Glen A. Moore. map 64, parcel 56. This Chloe in here.
I don't think she's here, but I can tell you what's going on this one. This one, back in 2006, this property was zoned C2 by the county commission, and they only intended for the very front portion of the property to be zoned commercial. But when planning commission denied it, but it still went to the county commission for their approval or denial, and they actually approved it for the entire parcel. So since 2006, this parcel has been zoned commercial, and it was discovered when they wanted to subdivide one lot off the property. So this is just a clerical item to fix something that was done in 2006.
So they asking for all of it?
They're wanting all of it to go back to A1, and I actually have the plat that they want to get approved for the one lot, which it's way back here in this pack. And actually, it's like 7.29 acres, and they're cutting a 1 acre tract off, which
There's
is,
no house on this.
there's a house,
Okay.
there is one house.
Okay.
And they want to cut this portion off to put another house. So, but if you look at our zoning map, I don't know if you have a copy of it, it's all commercial. And she wants to do the whole parcel because she doesn't have any plans forward with that. Originally it was gonna be a storage building and they never followed through with that.
So this is for the 8.3 acres.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the request, or to recommend the request.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to recommend the request from C2 to A1 on this property here. We have a second. We have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Next up, we have a site plan review for New Market RV Resort Phase 1 and Phase 2. 42 sites will be located on the old 18 Highway West. New Market by John T. and Melissa Bowser. Map 23 parcels 11.07, 11.08, and 11.11. Mr. Bowser, you ready?
I know that part of the package, so unless I want
This is the site plan. We did look at the site plan last month, and there were a number of staff comments that were considered at that time. I think some of those you made at the meeting, and this was distributed. This was the licensed engineer's response to the comments. These are two separate RV parks. They are on separate legal lots of record. And so I think there was some consideration that they could have a joint venture on stuff. Because you could have sold one off separately, they have to be considered and fulfill all the performance criteria on each lot. The larger, and I commend the engineer, you've done a good job. This is a good site plan. I think one of the comments, and it was actually the first one, is that the larger of the two RV parks is located on two lots. And so prior to any consideration of moving forward, you will have to present a subdivision plat to combine those lots.
Billy Knight's already done that.
Is that been?
We haven't filed it. I want it, but it's done, finished, and ready to go.
Okay, a subdivision plat has to be evaluated for compliance with the Jefferson County subdivision regulations.
So the combining of two lots has to
Yes, sir.
be reviewed. Okay.
Is it an exempt plat?
It is a plat that, a two-lot subdivision by state law can be approved by the staff of the local jurisdiction. So yes, if you're meaning is it exempt from planning commission
Right, because it's
approval?
over, you're combining, it's gonna be over 5 acres.
No, it doesn't matter if it's the lot you end up with is over 5 acres. It's if either, any of them are less than 5 acres to start with. So the plat will have to be evaluated by staff and will have to meet the criteria in the Jefferson County subregs and signature blocks, that sort of thing.
You're saying if it starts out less than 5 acres?
Yes,
Is that correct? So with both these lots being over 5 acres?
but are they started out?
Yeah, starting out they're over 5.
They're both over 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Then, you're staying corrected. If they're over 5 acres and you're not dedicating any public utilities or roadways, then you are exempt.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is for the large one. What is the acreage?
I think it's up to 11, 12 acres.
Yeah, it's
So
combined
those
is,
individual lots are over 5.
Yep.
Okay. Yep, you're right. It's exempt.
So the lots have been combined.
No, they have not,
The
but,
lots have been combined, but it has not been filed.
by state law, if a lot is over 5 acres, they're exempt from the subdivision regulation unless they're, building roadways or utilities that they plan to, dedicate for public maintenance. So by definition of the state law, this is not a subdivision.
Okay.
So they don't have to make any of that.
They have to comply with your site plan requirement, but they don't have to comply with your subdivision.
May I ask a question? What is this thing called in resort? What, do you have pickleball courts or tennis courts or swimming pool or, why is it a resort? It looks like, to me, a place to park trucks. Well, why is it a resort?
There are, recreational vehicles, campground.
Yeah, that's what they're typically called.
So the next, the CGP's been issued.
Correct.
So I have no comments. Good job.
I have no comment, because I don't know what it is.
This is for all buildings and stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Are these residential?
No, those are, sponsored by the engineer to my comments. My comments are in black.
Is this the same thing that was presented this last meeting? Yeah.
And those are,
Okay, I thought they
those were
were.
his responses.
Both of the things separately meet all the regulations, bathhouse, everything, office.
Parking spaces, roadway, fire hydrants, whole thing, all regulations.
Mr. Chairman. Question. Thank you. So on our agenda item, we have phase 1 and phase 2. Do these not need to be separate agenda items, like everything be treated separately since they sit on 2 different pieces of property?
I think that was an issue, with the first site plan is
Well,
They sat on two separate pieces of property, but they didn't comply with your requirements in a standalone way. Like the bathhouse where the smaller area, I think, was being considered for the first one. It didn't have its own bathhouse, it didn't have its own, maybe parking. There were some things that were lacking on the smaller one, but, I don't see a problem with them doing both at once. Do you have a time frame for the site plan is there an expiration time on your site plan? Okay, so,
They can start with phase one, do phase one and then do phase two.
unless they don't, if you start phase, are you gonna grade them both at the same time?
We'll finish one, go to the next,
Then
go to the second. We were instructed when we were here in November to phase it out exactly like that. It's noted in the plans which one's phase one, and the smaller, little over 5 acre tract is phase two.
I think it should be noted that, if anything changes in the performance criteria or allowable uses, and no activity has occurred on one, then it would have to be held in abeyance of the newly adopted regulations.
Okay.
If you hadn't done any improvements. At that point, you're not considered vested.
There would have to be some sort of timeframe on it, so, correct.
Second reading by, the legislative body. I don't know that that's, being done or considered, but if you get a site plan approved and you don't initiate it and something changes in the regulations and you have no vested rights, then, they can hold you in abeyance if you never adopt the regulations.
We don't do reading.
You don't do, what you consider
We either pass it or we fail.
so a resolution does not have two considerations. Okay.
It's up or down. We don't do readings. So once it would be there, it's implemented. But historically, what we have done, and I don't know how far out this would go, and I don't. It's never been tested. If you put in phase one, phase two, and subdivision, and we can change the regulation on a resolution, then
No,
that one's in.
that one's it, and that is what vesting is. And typically, it's very common in subdivisions, because subdivisions can have build out periods of, 10, 15, 20 years. If whatever, requirements that are designed for phase one, regardless of what those requirements are in phase 5, you get to stick with the original ones, because once you do the first one, you're vested. If you initiate construction, but something's not done, then you're also vested. You got money, you got skin in the game. And this is skin in the game, but that's what the state of Tennessee recognizes.
Like I said, we don't do readings.
Okay.
We're just up or down on the resolution. So the minute, basically what you're saying, man, he drops a dozer plate in, or peels anything back, digs a ditch, whatever he says.
Yeah, I just assumed from a economies of scale, you probably grade them at the same time.
But his same rules would be still
It-
remain if they waited.
Yeah, I mean, if he, once he drops the first dozer plate, it's 2 years later, it's
It's
still
still the
held that he's
Yeah.
within
Okay.
that regulation. We can't change it until we get it.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of zoning ordinances have a statement in their site plan, or in their zoning ordinance, that, approval of a site plan is good for a stated time frame,
I don't think
like
we
6
got-
months.
I don't think we got that in there.
Where does it show the acreage on the map of the parcels?
It's got a total on the first sheet, 16.4.
Yeah, but I want to know what each parcel was.
Yeah, exactly.
So on the front sheet, acreage of site is 16.84 acres total. Is that all three parcels added together? Total 16.84?
Yeah, it's total. We're getting individuals.
Okay, do you have a map or something that shows the individual?
I do, right, it just printed too small, so I'm gonna pull up the digital, so that's the original map, there's the warranty deeds that correlate with it, so
I see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this a part of a bigger piece? This says total acreage 49.
That was the whole farm, that's the original recorded plat.
Oh, okay.
West Side Baby Farms. Front track is 5.4106 acres, the back track is 6.4115. The side track is 5.0299.
Okay. I'm still a little fuzzy on how we can do these together, since I realize, so we have three parcels.
Yeah.
The two adjoining parcels are coming together, which we're okay there under subregs.
Well, I think one thing I suggested is that they have to do that prior to issuing any permit for it's like the initiative.
Which you all have already, that's already in motion.
What's it?
Putting the two parcels together.
Oh, it's already done, it just has to be signed by Tim. That's all that's left in the file, but it's actually ready.
You're just referring to do one site plan and then do another site plan?
Yeah, so I think I'm clear. So phase one is two parcels that are being put together. And then phase two is just the one parcel. But I feel like we should be looking at them individually rather than looking at it like one project. Because I mean, you could do a phase and sell it and then it's somebody else's project. I feel like it should be, is that normal that people would have two non-adjoining properties and do a project like that?
I won't say it's normal, but that's one reason I made sure that both meet all your performance criteria separately and are not interdependent. I don't think it's one I've ever seen, but have you ever done anything that's done like this? It's not atypical,
Yeah.
but
It's very common.
okay.
Yeah, I've had projects that I've designed in the past.
I mean, a lot of times I've seen, especially gradings, typically, again,
Yeah.
done together, but you might see a large shopping center with an out
It's
parcel.
a lot of projects where if they have excess dirt, they have to remove the site.
Right.
They'll have a waste site,
Yeah.
permanent along with the main site. Never adjacent.
Yeah,
Very
I've
rare.
actually done, an offerings in a Dara at the same time, on separate legal lot record. And they had cross-access easements for the property.
These aren't connected in any way, is that right?
Other than my ownership. And I don't know we've ever made a designation if these two pieces of the subdivision want to cross the road. I know we've approved the subdivision of the crossroad. It's been several years back. But I don't know we've never made any communication on that.
So my hang up is that we're looking at two different pieces of property and ownership can change on these pieces of property. That's my hang up. I understand right now, and I don't know what you guys plan to do, I'm just saying, because they don't adjoin in any way, ownership could change, so I don't see, I just think they need to be split apart.
It's still an approved plan, though. The owner, say if they split ownership, they would either have to abide by the approved plans or come up with another plan that's approved by this board.
And the septic approvals are both separate, they're not interconnected with that.
They're both, they're either be one side, one the other side.
On two sites?
Two sides.
Okay.
He combined where it was two lots, like she suggested, they combine those so that you don't have one campground, so you have two separate lots. Combine so that one track, 11 acres. So that's approved as a campground under our regulations. That one track, the other track, even though it's never joined, it's a separate track, and it's falling under all the campground regulations and our approval as far as septic for campground. So we're actually looking at two separate campgrounds on two pieces of property.
Yeah. That's what I don't understand, why they're not separate agenda items.
I don't think you have any requirement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we wouldn't require them to come in and, make two agendas for us to approve. We just look at it as partials.
Well, and I think initially they were looking at the two as interdependent, and that was one of my concerns was that at any point they could sell off one of them, and it would not be fully compliant with your performance criteria for zoning board. Did the legislative body or county commission, did they approve the requirement for a certificate of compliance? Did they vote at all on it?
It was not listed on the agenda.
Okay.
Oh, it's supposed to be, but it was not.
Oh, what they're considering is, and you probably should be aware of it, is that once you finish the site and come back to the county for establishment of an occupancy permit, is that the engineer of record will have to come back in and certify that the site was built according to the approved plan.
Okay. I have thoughts about that, but I'll keep it to myself.
Understand? It's done pretty frequently in Middle Tennessee. I don't know that it's, well, I take it back. A lot of communities around here, you have to do as-built for infrastructure improvements that are going to be dedicated to public maintenance. But in this instance, the county's a little short on inspectors, and they want to ensure that the site plan approved by the planning commission is built according to the plan on site. And so the responsibility has been placed on the property owner if adopted by the county commission.
That's what Chairman Fine believe. We will require them to do a as-built as far as the system goes on our end.
On your system. Okay. And that can be done in coordination. Cool.
Is there a high demand for RV resorts in our county and the new market? Are we gonna have more of this stuff in the future?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've done probably half a dozen
You're gonna have a dozen already?
sites throughout this area.
Why?
Because, why does any business
No,
open
I
up?
mean, I don't want to live in a community with a bunch of RV resorts. Do you?
There's a time frame, should be on about 29 days.
It's listed.
Yeah, I think I asked that'd be, so they can only stay in the resort for 29 days. There's a limitation.
That's not the issue. It's the constant flow of people coming on these so-called, and by the way, an RV resort is an oxymoron. It's exactly the opposite of what it is. You know, it's not really a resort at all. It's a bunch of people and homes that come here, transients that come here and enjoy the mountains and the lake and so on, and they move on. And we're getting more and more of this stuff in this community, and I don't like it.
The ideal would be tax dollars for the community, so, yeah, I mean, it would be an economic driver.
Fewer tax dollars to the community than RV resorts. Proliferation of RV resorts in this county is not gonna help this county. And people wanting to come here and live here.
It's kind of like a hotel on wheels, hotel room on wheels. It is a very popular.
Yeah.
It's very popular.
It's popular for people coming from the outside, and not the people living here.
So everything meets the criteria on this
Okay,
schedule.
we'll become an RV resort
Yep.
for the state of Tennessee.
Yes, a motion is in order.
Do we have to approve them together?
We have to approve the plans presented, either up or down. So, we can't break them apart.
I just keep getting hung up on them being put together.
Why are you ever concerned with that? I don't understand. They're.
Because they're two separate pieces of property.
Oh.
I feel like it should be two separate motions.
We've never done that in subdivision phases before we've made them, whether they're connected or not. We've never done that. If that's something we need to change the regulations, then we need to change the regulations.
We've certainly got our issues there,
But
that's
I
not.
think as far as what our regulations do right now, there's nothing in there that says it's gotta be that way.
Well, that would be in the zoning ordinance, subdivision,
Yeah.
you know, that'd be in the subregs, but, you don't have anything that says you can't do it. The ordinance actually is silent on it. Are you thinking about just two motions, or are you thinking about having them break them physically come in with site plans for two?
Well, I mean, effectively, they have two different site plans here. I mean,
They
they're
do.
separated.
And one of them just has the caveat of filing recording the document to combine the lots prior to issuance of, or proceeding with, staff activities. The other one does not have that. And it sounds like it's already done.
And it's permitted under the same state permit right now, current, already. Under what permit?
One permit on
To the state.
two pieces of property.
For, what, your SWIP? Yeah. Do you already have the TDEC permit? I think that was one thing we asked for the TDEC permit.
Since I'm doing this, may I ask how RV resorts generate income for this county? How does it do that?
It's an allowable use in the
I
zone.
understand that, but how does it generate income and make the life of this community better in terms of creating more tax dollars for this community?
Hotel motel tax.
Is that what it is?
And sales tax.
The sales tax for what, I mean, going to
Well, also
going
it's,
to Walmart and
Yeah, but there's like, if you go to the hotel,
Right,
over here
okay.
at Interstate,
Right.
they'll have a bill for the room, they'll have a hotel motel tax, and they'll have a sales tax on the amount.
Okay.
Both of those, the hotel motel tax and a portion of the sales tax, because the king, down in Nashville, he gets his cut, you gotta render under Caesar, what's due Caesar, of course. So, well, then the rest of it stays with the county. And so those two taxes are where your income.
But they don't pay any taxes for being in this property, do they?
They pay property.
Just property.
But it's zoned A1. so.
but it'll be commercially taxed,
It'll
40%.
be, yeah, it's the new regs on that, and I forget, we have to have Ms. Susan here to explain that. But the new regs allow them to do a different,
Did you say Miss Sue?
Ms. Susan.
Oh.
Gas.
Well, I thought, go ahead and explain
No,
it.
I caught that.
Susan.
Ms. Susan Gas. I can't quote you the statute and everything, but I know we discussed it in our last committee
emission, the new rigs have a different level when they go to appraise these, and campers that are parked on 5 acres or an acre or 2 acres or whatever, there's a different formula now that the state allows. So it'll be like any property, it'll be taxed property plus improvements. And then that's the way that revenue will be booked for the county.
So it remains, I didn't want there to be taxes first.
It'll be taxed at whatever that thing is, Ms. Park, there's some kind of thing, and like I say, Ms. Susan Gass was explaining to me about how that they're now allowing them, even though the property may be vacant, that they're allowed to put a certain upgraded percentage on, like if somebody is pulling a camper and they're living in on a, say, a 2 acre or 5 acre tract or something, they pull the camper in and they hadn't built a house or whatever, they can now be taxed at a different rate than just having the property back, because it was considered before it was considered private property.
I think the state comptroller's looking at that as well.
Would there be anything wrong with doing it in separate motions?
I'm not gonna vote for it, but that's fine, do whatever you want to do.
There's a motion, yes.
Why do you go
Also, what's your concern?
I just feel like they should be treated separately.
What would that accomplish?
Well, if you do a separate motion, then to me, they've got to go back and do separate plans, and they got to present separate plans.
If they sold a piece of this property, like say, with all the stipulations and stuff that went with that property still be with that property when they sold? If so, what was the difference, right?
The site plan is being issued, approval is being issued to this individual.
Right.
Not to the property necessarily.
No, now, if you do, like, we just did a variance goes to the seller of the property.
Yeah.
But if, somebody else comes in, unless they want to pay you, as I understand it, you own this site plan. If you sold the property, somebody else would have to come in and get a permit for the septic system.
If it was being used for anything different. You know, we look at what it's being used for, we sold it to someone else. You know, we can't even say we're doing the same
Same.
thing, we just, we issue a permit. But if we change what they were doing to something else, then,
If something's right, yeah.
and in regards to being separate, whatever they sell it, whatever, they'd have to come back, get approval, start all over, if they didn't do what they're gonna do, because I would, they wouldn't have a permit to the septic. So that'd stop, what you might be concerned about, if they sold the property, try to do something else, if they did, they'd have to come back in, so they would issue a permit to do anything.
So even if they start a phase and then decide they don't want to be in the camper business and sell it, the new owner has to start all over as far as the site plan and permit.
Yeah.
And maybe something that we want to do is put a expiration date on your site plan.
Can we go ahead and do that?
It'd have to be a zoning amendment, we'd have to go through a zoning process to.
Because we don't currently require that.
No, I checked, you don't. Usually it's 6 months, someplace I've seen it a year.
I think it boils down for me, whether you like it or not. It checks all the boxes, meets the criteria.
Yeah.
And it's a legal business.
Yes, it's by right.
I don't like subdivisions beside me, but, so, but I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion, it checks all the boxes, you've got no objection. I don't see how you turn it down.
We have a motion to set the site plan review as presented. We'll have a second.
I said,
Have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So next up, we have a resolution amending the subdivision regulations of Jefferson County, Tennessee regarding road construction, bonding, and as-built drawings.
It's this one?
What?
Well, maybe I should make a picture or something. It says January 20th, 2025 on top. And so this would be an amendment to your subdivision regulations. This is for discussion. One of the things that this does is,
Hold on.
okay.
Which? This is it?
Yeah, it says proposed amendment to the Jefferson County subdivision regulations.
Okay.
yeah.
So are the ones highlighted, is that what we're changing?
Well, I reconfigured it, a little bit.
No.
So I tied up your surety and limited it to, a letter of credit, meaning that you can't post escrow and you can't take an insurance. So it's a letter of credit.
I've got an extra.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe that's why I didn't keep.
Oh, that,
Everybody happy? Okay.
and as you know, when you, one thing about surety is by state law, when you approve a subdivision plat, if there are infrastructure improvements within the subdivision that is proposed to be dedicated for public maintenance, and keep in mind that that's not only your county roadways, that's your sewer lines, water lines, fire hydrants, electrical service, even if your sewer and water is provided by a private utility. As the planning commission, you are required to bond those improvements.
We need that 150.
Okay, that's why I highlighted it. I couldn't remember.
1.5, that's what we've always done. 1.5 times the average of 350.
Okay.
Or 3 quotes or estimates or whatever.
Well, I changed that too. Under item 4, recording of the plat, this has a date of expiration. If you don't file the plat within 45 days,
Where you at?
I'm on item 4, recording the plat. A lot of times people will get a plat approved and then they don't file it, and then a couple of years later.
Now, let me ask you this one, because this could come up. They come in there and get the signature, it says 45 days to signature, date of signature. Are you talking about the road superintendent, all of that? Or are you talking about us approving it here?
It says date of signature.
It does.
Yeah.
So, does that mean if the road superintendent signs it on
Means the secretary.
secretary? Okay.
Secretary, I should put
So,
that in there.
so yeah, I mean, that would.
Secretary is the final signature on all plats,
It is,
right?
it's always the last.
And they're not approved until the secretary signs.
Well, that's what I want to make sure on this
Yeah.
thing. So that would be when Ms. Sue signs it and it passes here. Then it do. What I was worried about is if it's just a signature for that particular thing, like there's Tom's or whatever, and he signs off on it right there in November, and we don't have a meeting because it snows in December or there's nothing on the thing, and it's January 26th what we do, then you're over your 45 days. So I want to make sure what we're
No, it's
really
just,
clear on that.
the last signature is always the secretary of the planning commission.
Okay.
And so it would be hard. Thank you, Ken. Item 5, improvements and methods of surety. This now says that it is you take a letter of credit. I've added the surety instrument. Now this I did change. So when the surveyor, keep in mind in preliminary plat, the preliminary plat is a layout of lots. The road and drainage plans are engineered drawing for all infrastructure improvement. And that is your engineer of record. So when they come in with the final plat, because most developers will do some work on site, they usually grade, they may take it all the way through the binder, of course. But at the time that they come to get signatures or get the final plat approved, on that point, the planning commission has to approve the plat, final plat, and they have to approve the amount of the letter of credit. The letter of credit, I've now put in here, the cost of the surety instrument shall be determined by submittal of an opinion of probable cost calculated and sealed by the developer's engineer and submitted to the county road superintendent for approval. That's a change. Along with the 150, I can remember.
Well, let me ask you this, Senator. Yeah. What if you're not just dealing with the road?
Oh, you're not.
What I'm saying is that how do we deal with infrastructure if you're in this other thing, or if you're in the second phase or whatever, you don't have the infrastructure and we're guaranteeing that to be in, or Tom has a sewer thing come up for their like cabins or
Yeah,
whatever.
where they came in and wanted to, some release a certain percentage.
Yeah, how do we deal with that? Because the road superintendent's not got the expertise or the authority to sign off on. We need something in there about that.
Well, if it's septic, that's not going to be dedicated.
Well, now, the surety bond, if they put in a centralized system, I make them put up a surety bond. The last one here was like 9.5 million.
Then
We need
that amount
so
should
that needs to be, but that'd be determined kind of what they tell me their estimated cost would be looking at it, saying, I don't agree with it. You know, you need to put another 200, 300 with it.
So when you have a system of that nature, that's a collective step system, I think that's what it's called. And we're going to look at a bond for that. Does the developer give you his estimate and then you approve it, or you amend it, or do you develop that number?
That will go through the state, an on-site system like that does. But the county gave our department the authority because some things that had gone on before that the state approved, and they didn't approve, but I'm going, well, here's the signature, so how do you not approve it? And so the commission agreed to give our department the authority to determine, you know, even though the state approved it, that don't mean nothing. Our office has to prove it to protect the county. Because there's been too many systems put in and county stuff with the subdivision and the infrastructure not in. So what they've done on our end, they'll submit the plan from the state and their approval, and I'll look at it, and the engineers and I will say the estimated cost, say $1 million or something like this. And I just, you know, I got resources to know what one of those systems ought to cost. And so I don't let them shortchange. So I might require them if they're saying it's $1 million, I don't care. And I'm going, well, I go to John L. and tell him, or in here say, I'm requiring $1 million too. Whether it costs that or not, they get their money back. I'm making sure it's going in. So I don't know how you want to address that in your record, what your changing that.
So when you do one of those systems, does one of your local utilities maintain it? Do you maintain it or the homeowners association?
There's a utility, they have to have a utility to provide the services after it's put in. And usually who puts it in is usually the utility provider. They regulate it, and then the homeowners just pay a fee for their services.
Is that one of your local utilities or is that a contract?
No, it's always contract.
It's always a contract.
I would feel much better, Ms. Catherine, if you, I don't have a lot of problems with that opinion or probable cause or whatever, but I think we'd be a lot better off if you strike county road superintendent and put in the proper county departments or some verbiage like that covers more than the road.
Right.
I think we'll get in trouble on that.
So is there, are there other, one, if it's electrical, it's Appalachian?
Well, the majority, 90
Yeah.
90-some percent, there's a little
And a little
KUB
bit
and there's a little
Severe.
MU and a little Newport.
And severe.
And Severe, I guess, yeah. So there's, they little notches out.
Right.
But
So
the
that's,
majority will be,
and most of your review, I know you have very limited sewer, is that,
water departments would be, if you're out of the city and you don't have the sewer, then you would be in a water district, whether it's Newmarket, Shady Grove, Alton or Witt, whoever.
okay,
So I mean, that whole thing is a lot of,
cool.
depending on who gets it.
Okay, I need to rewrite that section and make sure that I state that the approved OPC should include an itemized list of the utility and a generalized statement of who is responsible. And developers should know that.
Right.
And then, that amount can be brought to us with your approval, and generally, I'm assuming that they confer with your electric department, and that's the responsibility of the engineer of record as well. So, but I'll rewrite that and add them in,
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
could we not,
and change that to 150%.
Thank you.
could we not just go ahead and approve tonight as amended?
You can't approve it on anyone. To amend your subdivision regulations, we have to
Well,
advertise,
Okay.
I hear 30 days notice. So you can't even vote on the next thing. You have to have 30 days notice, so. So this was just a draft for you guys to look at. Again, the cost of the surety has to be memorialized by separate motion and by the planning commission. The last paragraph says we will only take a LOC in favor of the county. And then I,
Yeah, let me ask
Okay.
you a question on this. Depending on how this thing went, but I know we got into the one back of this, I think this definitely on the old boy that came in and it had to be signed off by the finance department. Should we have it in here who signs that off and all that?
that's why you take an LOC.
Okay.
Because if, most subregs, and yours is silent, it just says surety, it doesn't say what. If you take an insurance bond, that bond may be collected, in Florida, it may be collected wherever. Normally, it's like most insurance, they turn you down the first time and you have to sue to get it or go out of state to collect the money. If they do a escrow account or a cashier's check, it's not like your finance director takes that check and puts it in a vault somewhere and it just sits there. They cash it. And then technically, from a standpoint of the county finances, it takes an action of the county commission to write that check back out to the individual.
The way that we handled it took action here. And it took Tim's signature and Mr. Lang's signature.
So your finance director authorized with,
At that
Yeah,
time.
because
I mean, I've talked to a couple of
we operate
finance
under Act
directors,
8.
they won't do that.
Yeah, but see, we operate under Act 8-1. We're one of the
Okay.
few counties in the state that operate under Act 8-1. So we have you've got Act 57, you've got, charter, home, and home rule, and then you've got 81. And we operate under 8.
In one, so this body can request the finance director to write a
Yes,
check. So do you want to take escrow money? Or a cashier's check?
I'm not super happy with how that went here. I mean, I'm good with the letter of credit. I'm just saying, do we need that noted in here about what that procedure is, because it's not a.
Well, a letter of credit, all letter of credits have a statement at the bottom that the mayor collects it. That, and I put in here, the letter of credit has to be by an insured bank, by FDIC. The bank or financial institution has to be physically located within Jefferson County or a county touching Jefferson County. Yeah. So, you're ensuring that that letter of credit is as easy as possible to collect on. You don't want to have to go to this person and that person and there. And I'll be honest, most cities have already, most jurisdictions, they only take letters of credit now. I worked for a jurisdiction, we had to send an attorney to Florida to get the amount of money from the insurance company, and the flight cost more than the value of the surety. So we ate it. Once through taxpayers they did.
If I may, was that not where we got the problem with that one with the letter of credit instead of a bond? I might be wrong.
Yeah,
but
the problem that we got into is it was not made sure to renew or there's no provision in there, it let it expire.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to typically, somebody has to administer an LLC. I always put them on a report on the planning commission because it's your money, it's your insurance, it's your responsibility. I do a bond report on most of my planning commission agendas, and I list the subdivision, the face value of the bond, and the date of expiration. Because some LOCs will automatically renew, and some of them won't.
Well, do we need to have this in here that it has to automatically renew, or do we need?
Usually, and you guys would know better than me, is after a year. Now, and this is normally the face value of the LOC. In a year from posting it, they will have accomplished enough work. They want it decreased. They want the value decreased. So every year when you renew it, it's renewed for a lesser amount. And that keeps the developer solvent, for one, loosens up credit for him. And it gives you an opportunity to go back and assess the subdivision and how it's progressing.
So on my perspective, as far as making sure the sewers, you're saying that do a letter of credit instead of doing a bond, as far as too hard happening to get the money back out of the insurance account?
Yeah, insurance companies, just like your car company, just like your medical insurance, they will fight you. And if they do it enough, they win some, they lose some, but.
Well, why don't we put the thing in there that allows us to take a surety bond or a letter of credit at the discretion of the planning commission recommendation of, that way, because I think I see where Mr. Tom's going on that. There's some things that bond is on the sewer thing has some application.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. I mean, just my own edification, I'd like to know how long, but we can talk about that later. So you want this, and I strongly suggest that you run it by your county attorney.
Can, when you get that corrected, can you send that to Lord High County Mayor, and we can send it to the chairman, send it to
Mayor Todd.
the Mayor Todd. We'll just put a note in there, just send that to the commission chair.
You meant send it to the mayor send it to the chairman.
Yeah.
And he sent back, but I think I was following.
But you
Send
send
to who?
Send
Mayor
it to Mark
Potts.
Potts
Okay,
Mayor
with
Potts.
a note that it needs to be distributed to the chair of the commission and the county attorney.
okay, the chair of the county commission?
Yes.
Yeah, but just put a note on there.
Just for,
Well, he handles the legal, it comes through under him.
under your,
It comes-
okay,
The
because,
county attorney has to put what he's doing.
Yeah, and the county.
Okay.
And then it goes to the chairman.
okay,
The county commission line item in there handles the legal. That's where the legal fees come out.
okay.
That just lets him know that, hey, we're doing that.
Okay.
Email John Neal after you're done.
Yeah. You might have pushed the button 3 or 4 times.
Well, you'll get a chance to look at this again next month, and then we'll probably schedule the public hearing when we have the final document.
Should we go ahead and schedule a public hearing?
Well, once you do a public hearing, the whole reason of doing one is you're notifying the public that they can come and look at the document. But you don't put the whole document in there, or the developer. So if you don't have a finalized document, you really don't want somebody coming in and looking.
So could we not go ahead and finalize as of next tonight, and then you come back in February, and we go ahead and have, Stephanie could just hit the 30-day mark and go ahead and call the public hearing for our March.
I have to admit, when I write something that would changes, I'd rather you look at them and verify that I'll capture how you want,
So you're gonna come back in February with the changes. John Neal's gonna say, this is exactly what I want, thank you so much, or something about that. And at that point, we can schedule a public hearing.
yeah. Oh, and seeing as how it's 30 days out, I mean,
Is there a way to make this work, that we can do this in March? My birthday
I was
is the
just
28th.
saying, rather than that, having to go through all that, if you just send it to Stephanie, she can take care of sending it to the mayor, chairman and all that. That'll make it a little easier.
so your meeting in February is March 25th, and then it's March 25th. So you will have to, even to get it on the March planning commission meeting, you will have to advertise it before February 25th.
Could we
So-
do that?
That would be fine with me, I just don't want an advertisement. I think to do it March would be fine.
So,
And if we need to, we can, I can send it to, we don't finish it up next month.
email.
Yeah, I can email it to you,
I
as
can
long as
write a
y'all
copy
don't,
over to John
as long
Neal.
as you guys don't deliver it, you're good to go. So we'll clock 30 days from March 25th.
Okay, so we'll be able to make this happen on March 20th, public hearing.
Public hearing.
Okay.
And you really need to have a method of notifying your developers that, things are changing.
It's a small town.
They'll figure it out. Okay, item 7, so the surety period, is for 1 year. And then there's a statement in there that the county may reduce the amount of surety as the infrastructure is installed.
Mr. Gaston, We need to change second line. City to county.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'll leave it at Jefferson
Do
County.
we need do we need to change whatever verbiage you're gonna put in on that last line on the county road superintendent? Does it need to be, whatever departments or whatever?
From the, how'd you word that? Something department head?
Whatever we're gonna use up here in this other one. And B,
Okay,
should, that language should repeat down there.
so strike county road superintendent and then add the language from the bottom down here.
And then I think you've got the road superintendent on, well, I don't know, that was.
For the reduction. They should give you a list of what they completed and what the corresponding values for that completion is. Now, if they're doing water, it goes in before the road is finished anyway. After a year, even a phase would have generally face down by doing stormwater goes in first.
No, that's earlier.
Should go first. If there's sewer or when they're doing septic, I guess that does go in, because those lines aren't that big. Well, the pump would be, if you're looking at a step system.
Well, I look at what percent they have in place with that.
Okay,
Usually when they get the infrastructure, the lines, what we're doing, the water, all that's when they would come in with something else. The plant won't be all the way.
and you can't even test until water is in function.
Yeah.
So, we'll depend on him, but I'll rewrite that section.
Okay. And then on the last paragraph, on the last line of 7, until all work is completed accepted by the county commission, should that be planning commission?
You don't accept roadways. You recommend the county commission to accept roadways.
Okay.
But I can put in recommended by the planning commission and accepted by the county commission.
If you would, please.
Okay.
Did you skip to item 8?
No, I'm on item 6.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
We're still at that.
Okay.
So recommended by the planning commission to the county. And what they actually do, they don't accept the roadway. The right of way is recorded in the final plat. What they're doing is accepting physical maintenance of the roadway. From that point forward, your tax money is going to go toward that roadway. Issuance of the building permit. Now you don't issue building permits. You do for residential. Okay. Because most of your subdivisions are residential. You don't issue any building permit for commercial at all.
We do commercial, but we didn't pass commercial inspections.
No, I know you don't do inspection, but it's an issue of her.
Yes.
Okay, good. This is 7, issuance of building permits. Building permits can't be issued until you've got access. You're bringing combustibles on site. So you should have a way to get it there, but you should also have a way to put out a fire if one is there. You gotta be able to get a fire apparatus back in there, even if it's a pumper truck, because you don't have any water. Yes.
That needs to be changed to 24 feet.
24 feet?
Yes.
Yeah, but now this is not a final road. This is just 20 feet to accommodate fire engine.
Okay, as long as that's,
Yeah.
the road width has got to be 24 feet, so.
Yeah, this is prior to issuance of a building permit. So you're early in the game. Basically, we're talking about the base and the binder.
I'm good with 24, I think I.
But the binder and the base needs to be 24 when they, because they're gonna be.
Better off just to start at 24.
Okay.
That,
I don't know about that.
Can change that.
that'll cause discord.
I think we've already got that cost.
Timeline for acceptance, and keep in mind, as a planning commission, you've got full authority over the subregs, so these are just to put some parameters in there. Acceptance of roadway utilities, this is something they want to talk about with the superintendent, won't be considered till 2 years after the final plat has been recorded. Do y'all do 75, do you have a point, because it's not your subrail, I've looked, when you accept the public infrastructure, some places will do it, some places won't do it until everything's done. I mean, through the top coat. Some places will do it 50% build out, some people will do it at 75% build out. Some people some places time it. I put in 2 years.
Historically, the road superintendent has not accepted anything until it's done. I mean, they're done with their road in there. You won't accept it, and we'll bring it to the county commission.
Yeah, but this says until 2 years, either 2 years after the final plat has been recorded, all work has been completed, or until 50% of the lots are fully developed.
And you won't accept it until they quit
Building?
there.
Buildings.
I mean, it's like if they're, and I don't know what.
You mean all lots are
No,
built? No.
But if they're still in there doing a lot of construction, he won't accept it, and once he does accept it, then they've got to cover the damage you got to do
Right.
after that.
Yeah, and that's it. Does he have a number though?
I've never heard a number. That's been left up to the road superintendent. We've never delved into that.
3 to 5 years.
It's a while. I mean, he
I
don't.
mean, that should be, I realize that even if it's his decision, there should be some sort of way to memorialize that information for the developer.
Can you find,
I'd have to check with
can you
him.
find out this Joe? And
Yeah,
let
in his
him-
mind, he may just say,
Let him read this and see what his thoughts are on
and even when it's 75% built out, if they damage it, they bought it. And now, the other thing is, does he usually take a maintenance bond? Like have them post a maintenance bond?
I've never heard that.
Okay. Well, that's something else to ask. Although that doesn't fall under the auspices of the planning commission. But it should be different. Okay, I put in, under 9, third paragraph, I put in maintenance bond. With the statement, this bond is to ensure that any failures in the construction improvement are repaired by the developer at their own expense. And usually it's 20% of the initial face value of the first bond. Under the maintenance bond, I put it in here at the second paragraph. It has to be done in the same form of the letter of credit. It's, it shall not exceed 20% of the face value of the original surety. So if he posts $1 million, it's 20% of that maintenance. And that's, you know, it sounds great that, okay, see that rut? That's your problem. No, it's not. How do you make sure that the original developer is going to pay for the damage if you're just asking it?
Like John Hill, I think, I don't get it.
Did you say you're like John?
No, I said like John Neal said, Charlie, he wouldn't approve of this done, he wouldn't make the top coat of so much, if he saw so much, it's gonna be tore up. Yeah, he kind of took care of the maintenance that they had to take care of, and that's about right, John. That's why he say maybe two, he might let
Put
one.
it on until so much happened,
Right.
and they had so many trucks there, he had some kind of way that he had all that figured out.
And that's standard, and he should have, you know.
He might approve 1, 2, he might be 3 or
If we
4.
can just get those numbers, once again, because I want to make sure that you're defensible. And a lot of times, if, you know, if it's not right in some way, and somebody's going, I'm not doing that, you don't have a leg to stand on.
So, let me ask you this, you've got in here the maintenance bond, and we're switching back. So is that,
So, it should be surety. I mean, bond's just almost like,
I understand, I'm just,
yeah.
I know I'm being picky about the verbiage, but.
No, words have meaning.
I just want to make sure that we carry through the same thing.
I agree. So that's a big one. The rest of it in the first paragraph is basically all improvements have to be done, et cetera, until formal acceptance has been read by the Jefferson County Commission. The last paragraph is certificate of satisfactory completion. That is by the engineer of record. He goes out and looks at it and verifies that that road and utilities, all the infrastructure was built according to his engineered design. He certifies that, he seals that document, he submits it, and then he provides as-built drawings of all utilities. You know, a lot of times, and I'm sure that your road superintendent does this, you know, you do the plat, you've recorded right of way, it's recorded in the Register of Deeds office, they get out there to build the roadway, they run into rock, they scooch it over a little bit. If, you know, you would hope that 50 foot of right of way, if they're scooching, they're still within right of way. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But as-built survey plat will ensure that regardless of what they do in the field, it is represented accurately in the tax records, in the state records, in the comptroller's records, et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes that's enough. Actually, may have to amend the plat at some point. It gets bad enough.
Do we need to do any action on this item? Information on
And if you got anything else, you can just send me an email. You've got my email, I think. You know, I mean, that's a lot to go over in 2 short pages in 8 o'clock at night. So, read over if you've got any other concerns. I'll do how about if I do a strike bold, red line of changes. That way you can know exactly what I changed and how I changed it.
So on number 8 is Miss Stephanie going to get with Miss Joe and find out what verbiage we use in that section.
Okay. Really just comes down to the number.
And he may have his own. I mean, I would really like him to look at this. And
Whatever formula they use has worked well
Really
in the
well.
last few years in our county. We don't have a tremendous issue with the roads on the brand new uncalled for.
well, a lot of times he may have personnel standing out there watching it be built.
Yeah, I don't know, I just can't tell you.
Does he do
but I-
that? Yeah. I mean, he's got his staff picks up. He's definitely got somebody out there watching everything. But yeah, we'll send this to him. If he will mark it up, or you want to get his changes and send it to him. He can just, you can give him a hard copy, and he can mock it up, and then you can scan it and send it to me. That's it. Okay.
Thank you, Kathy. Very impressive work.
Thank you.
So we're ready to move on to a resolution amending the zoning resolution of Jefferson County presented by Austin Brooks.
Mr. Chairman, I believe Stephanie was kind enough to print a copy off for each of us. It's this. You have it in your stack?
Yeah.
This is it.
Yes.
Yes.
This would be a recommendation to the county commission to remove campgrounds and various types of verbiage for campgrounds, to move them out of the A1 district into the C2 district. So there was discussion earlier about campgrounds popping up everywhere. Currently, I believe around 80% of county land sits in the A1 zone. Campgrounds are permitted in the A1 zone, meaning campgrounds can go all over. By moving them into the C2 zone, it would give them a different classification, and rezonings would go before the county commission for approval.
Would you make a motion?
I'm gone.
Okay. So could I ask you what the rationale for this resolution is? What exactly are you seeking to do?
I don't believe campgrounds are an agricultural use.
Okay.
I believe it's a commercial use. So we're going to take it out of the agricultural zone and put it in the commercial zone. That's what I'm proposing. And this body would just be making a recommendation to the county commission. I don't think campground should have ever been in the A1 zone to begin with.
So you're gonna also put in the prohibited uses of mobile home parks.
Mobile home parks.
Have you got
Parks.
a definition for that if they're on an acre tract, is it still a park? If they're on a 40,000 square foot,
So my understanding is, I think mobile home park is defined in the zoning regs.
Yes.
I believe it has to be
Usually that's
5 or
only
more.
single wides are allowed. You referring to a single wide?
Talking about mobile home parks. There was language in a previous one someone didn't like. And that has been removed.
saw that, I'm impressed.
I do believe we
Clayton
have.
is in your district.
What's that?
I said, since Clayton is in your district,
Clayton area.
just trying to cover.
They roll them out regularly. I recall either seeing mobile home parks defined in our regs.
And I'm just asking to make sure we got, what I don't want is
And I'm,
somebody buys an acre lot or a lot out here or 5 acres. Or if you've got a subdivision, and whether I like it or not is irrelevant, but that gym that's walking down there has got nothing but mobile home zone. I just wanna make sure it's not defined as a mobile home park.
You got mobile home park consists of 5 or more mobile homes or mobile home sites.
Is
It's a mobile home park.
Has it got a acreage, or can it be?
Mobile home on individual lots, we don't allow
Yeah,
that.
we don't allow that. I had a guy come in today on that, you know, you can't do a mobile home park like you used to.
Yeah.
That's be a 1 acre tract.
Gotta be 40,000 square foot.
Yeah, 40,000 square feet, yeah. So
What
that
zone
becomes
district is
subdivision. So that turns into a subdivision, what we classify. Because he won't know what he had to do, and I said, we're gonna have to install a subdivision.
Okay.
Well, since I'm doing this, could you elaborate a little more about why you're doing this?
Yeah, so I don't believe campgrounds are an agricultural use.
Okay.
80% of the land in the county is A1. So there are a lot of people that live in the A1 zone, whether they realize it or not. If you go into a populated area zoned A1 and I buy a piece of A1 property nearby, I can put a campground in. And there's
And this will prevent.
it doesn't prevent it from happening, but what it says is that it has to go into property zoned in C2. So you can't go buy a piece of farmland that might be cheaper. If you do that, you have to get rezoned to C2. So we're not saying no campgrounds. It's just a mechanism to have a little more authority over it, the county.
That makes sense to me.
I want to ask you another question here on this. This vice senator, no event, can the use of recreational vehicle travel trailer, camper, motorhome, or camp be considered a principal, primary use or accessory use of A1? So with that, we are eliminating vehicle or camper on a piece of ground to live in as their primary residence.
Correct.
I just want to be clear.
Correct. Now, we do have a provision in here for if you invited me over to your farm to have a barbecue and I stay for the weekend and I bring my camper, I can still do that for no more than 30 days. But you'd kick me out before the 30 days.
3 days, fish and gifts, get smelled. But I guess what I'm asking also is, there are significant ones in our county that have moved in here from other areas, and they bought a piece of property, they parked their RV on there, they come pull the building permit, they got a septic permit from Mr. Tom, and they have never struck the first neighbor. Does this eliminate them being able to use that as their primary residence?
If you're using it in a permanent capacity, it would, yes.
At what, is there any exemption for they use that for 30 days or whatever? But, and I'm just asking for information. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I'm just asking.
I think you might even want to say you're in favor of it. I think you're getting there.
I'm working on it.
State law says you're not supposed to travel.
I understand it. I'm just,
I kind of.
you know, we've
I don't
got an adjoining
understand.
county that
That's a big problem.
went to an issue
Because
with this
we don't have anybody to enforce the state law. We don't have anybody to enforce state law, and that's pretty frustrating as far as septic permits go.
So when a mobile home rolls out, you know, it has a stamp on it, engineer stamp, it's dwelling. Campers do not. So I guess there's an argument to be made, you can't do that regardless of what we say here.
Well, I'm just saying that the fact of the matter is being done, does this eliminate that? From now on, that's overdone.
So we could talk about, you know, if someone was truly coming in, they buy a piece of land, they go and get their septic approved, they pull a building permit, and they're gonna live in that camper while the construction of their home takes place. I don't see an issue with that. Until it goes on for 2, 3, and 4, and 5 years, and there's a porch built on the front of the camper.
I agree. I'm just trying to make sure that where we're going with this, and like I say, I don't disagree with where you're going. And I don't disagree that it's probably all it needs to be. It's not a good practice to have somebody live in a camper as a primary residence 5, 6 years. I just want to make sure you if you are going to let them do that, then you put something in here that says they can do it for 6 months or whatever, or you say, no, you can't do it at all. And I'm good either way. I just want to make sure where we're going with this.
So right now, we have it for a temporary use, no longer than 30 days. So I think that's where that would fall under.
Just talk.
That's good and dandy, but you don't have anybody enforcing when you put it in the rig, and change it, change it. That's the problem now. Hopefully, we've tried everything, and, we even said, you go get the building permit, so at least they're gonna spend some money, so hopefully they build the house, but they still don't. They pay, they don't have to pay the facility tax for the house, they can pay $1,000, they'll pay $1,000 or $2,000 saying they're gonna build a house. They live in that camper, and there's nobody saying, hey, time's up.
Yeah, I get that.
You need to put some teeth in it if you're gonna do something. I mean, that's my opinion.
Because
I have to deal with every day.
I understand, and hopefully we're headed towards the code enforcement officer.
They've got a septic permit.
I can't deny anybody a septic permit.
Yeah, but they get one. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, person comes in,
I'm going, unless
says,
you're.
if we want a septic permit, I gotta give them one. They're not supposed to get power until they got a septic permit. And if I find out they're building a camper, I said, they can do it, but there's nobody to force.
So we don't have any organization, no people that can enforce anything.
Not
Green
currently.
County, Hamilton County just started, Green County hired 3 code enforcers to carry guns. Hamilton County will start enforcing, and we're getting calls about every day, somebody say, I've got a camper in Morristown, Hamilton County.
So,
I'm a lot to put a house on.
I totally agree with what Tom is saying, but we are working towards that. So I don't see that there's any harm in putting this in as it is. Just with the understanding that, yeah, we don't have a lot of teeth to it currently, and we're not really going to until we have that person. And that's just where we're at, and we're trying to remedy that. So, with all that said, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend this resolution for approval to the Jefferson County Commission.
Motion and second to recommend this resolution to the Jefferson County Commission. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Ayes have it.
Did you get that?
I'm in shock over here. That's
Everybody got that? Okay.
I have a question.
Listen, we're on a good note.
It's probably, I should have brought it up before. Tom, because this says you're referencing motor courts, which I assume is
So,
right. I want to make sure that your language is matching your definitions, or you might need to put a section 4 that changes the definition. So, under manufactured residential dwelling, typically, when you talk about it, there's single wides, there's double wides, and then there's modulars. So single wides, you got mobile home single wide. So that is what goes in the motor court. That's
Motor home. Motor court.
so that's your RV home.
That's the RV.
basically, so the county attorney had reviewed this. The intent there was just to So that someone wouldn't try and sneak in and go, well, it's not a campground, it's a motor course. So
Right.
that doesn't apply. So we just put in the extra,
language.
yes.
Yeah.
Thinking that would be easier.
No, I understand totally, but I do, it is important that your garbage matches your definitions, or you've got a disconnect and that.
So we've got lots of
So what is our definition of a motor course? Or do we have one?
You actually have criteria in here for motor court. And it is let's call it what it is, it's a trailer park. Trailer park has typically single wides in it, there's a lot of them. You've got, I just saw it's under your supplemental. It's 7.3 manufactured residential park standards. So that is your trailer park, correct? Typically single wides.
Well, it used to be, but not anymore.
Because it says a mobile home park of 5 or more mobile homes. And then you've got criteria about area for the lots, must have sewer, you've got performance criteria. So these are typically single wides in your manufactured residential park system.
Well, it could be double wides.
Yeah, it can be,
Yeah.
but typically it's
Yeah.
single.
Mm.
Okay, because they're building a lot of these in Cobb County, and they're in parks, they're actually doing a good job. So, the motor court that you're referencing in here, it falls under your RV park, and you got RV standards, correct? You adopted those?
It's my understanding.
And that's-
RV park is a campground. That,
Right,
like
that's
your folks right
We're saying
Right.
the same thing, 3 or 4 different.
Okay, but you don't say recreational vehicle, RV resort, RV resort. So,
Recreational vehicle parks as well.
okay, I would, you might want to look at that and just make sure that everything that's already in here matches this, or put some section 4 that adds some definitions or clarifies some definitions.
So because we use the term, we should have a definition for each term. Is that-
Yeah, or at least, you've used, not you specifically, but for you've got 7.3 that says manufactured residential park standards, which that is a, so in our A1, you're removing manufactured residential park standards.
We're removing the standards, yeah, but we're removing the use.
Okay. So if you're removing a use, see, 711 is your development standards for recreational vehicle parks, which is what they met, the RV park did today. And you've got recreational vehicles, so that is now not going to be allowed in A1, it will just be allowed in
C2.
C2, okay. Motor courts, you do not have a definition in here for motor courts.
Okay.
You do have, the development standards for manufactured residential park standards. So if you're using motor courts and manufactured residential park standards, it should say the same thing.
Okay.
Okay? And then for double wides or modulars, they have a Tennessee State seal certifying that they meet the stick built for single family. You have to allow them in.
Right.
Okay, so motor courts, you should at least change that to manufactured residential parks.
One thing, I'm a lot of time here. One thing, recreational vehicle, you might wanna look at it, interpret that, somebody could put a four-wheeler in park, that's a recreational vehicle.
One could argue that's a commercial use too.
Yeah, those are,
Yep, you're saying that person can't use it, have his four-wheeler when they want. So you wanna kinda.
you're talking about like a Wimrock.
Yeah.
Wimrock is,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is in Oliver Springs, I assume y'all are familiar with that. That's commercial, that was the,
Moving on.
okay. You wanna
Yeah.
set your amendment to appropriately manufacture residential park?
We've already passed it.
Or she's very close.
I told you I was sorry about it. But also in your, yeah,
All you're gonna do is.
I think that's just-
You can do it by consent, all you gotta do is nobody objects. Amend the language into it.
I want to give you the opportunity to object to it. Do we, so we can just go ahead and agree on it without objection?
If there's no objection, it can be taken by consent.
Okay.
If you, the maker of the motion, and Mr. Bob, the second.
I move to accept.
I'll second.
Or you, well, you were the second, so you're agreeing to the
You
acceptance.
accept the rewrite on the line.
And then I think our chairman was gonna ask if there's any objection, and there is none. So we're all set.
We're all set to go.
Oh, you have to.
Let's move on. The resolution amending zoning resolution of Jefferson County, Tennessee regarding the new C3 upsell warehouse commercial district. Presented by Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Chairman, for the sake of time, I'd like to defer this to the February meeting. Item E.
Okay.
Making a motion to defer this to tomorrow.
I'll make it in a motion, and if there's no objection, I think we can just.
We have a motion to defer.
Okay.
Item E to the February meeting. Second.
Okay.
I'll move to amend.
Amend the-
Item D, I'd like to be placed in item A as a permitted use. Item D, and under C, item D, value-added processing and product sales. I want to see it permitted use.
it has conditions and you
I
can't put it in
understand.
there. You just
And
wanna
the
see it.
conditions on that are not fair. You're saying that you can't produce, you've got to produce at least 50% of the product that originates.
Now, this was for discussion.
Hold on. I made a motion.
He already made a motion.
I made a
move to
second,
amend it.
and you've moved to amend it. What's your amendment?
My amendment is to put value-added processing product sales under permitted use.
Before the February meeting. In the verbiage before February meeting. Does everybody understand?
So we're still going to defer, right?
We'll defer
Because we just agreed on something, and I thought, you know,
Earth is moving.
hell is freezing over.
Sure enough.
There is absolutely no reason anybody's.
So you're asking for, but we're still going to discuss it in February.
Yeah. But I'd like to see that move.
And that's fine. One thing I wanted to say is that for value-added processing of produce, it is being done in the state of Tennessee for wineries, where you've got a bunch of wineries in agricultural areas and they are taking grapes from a number of different places. I'll be honest, I did a lot of research on this. And I usually don't have to do, but I did for this because this is new to me. So I think it's good to discuss it next time.
Almost like they're going to an end.
You can, or we're just postponing the August.
Yeah.
We don't have a vote yet.
Well, you don't have a second on this.
Move to defer to Hot Creek.
It's fine.
It takes precedence, you got some on that motion.
Well,
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to defer to February.
deferred C3 draft 2 to February. Have a motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor say
Aye.
aye. Opposed say no. Ayes have it, this is deferred to next month. Now, number F, discussion of land use plan, possible rezoning in Jefferson County.
Mr. Chairman, I move to defer this item to the February meeting.
Second that.
Have a motion to defer item F to the February meeting, and a second, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. We'll defer item F to the February meeting. Want to get the citizens input for
Run other business now.
is there any other business?
Yes. So there was lots of discussions about the sheds project over on Jim Henry. There's been some developments in that. Would it be helpful to have Stephanie share what took place in that development before people speak, in case maybe she's able to answer a lot of questions? Is that,
Yeah, sounds good.
Tom was brought in a 2-block plat for that subdivision of that property by the property owner, and he approved it for septic for the 2 buildings to be connected as a residence, and which met the 2-lot plat criteria that we've always done. And so once he signed it and the owner signed it, it was signed and recorded. They came in to the building department, re-permitted, paid all the new permitting fees, all the school facility tax for the all heated living, and that was permitted. We are waiting currently on an engineer report from the engineer on the building that's already been built. The remaining inspections will be done by the building department.
Shed you're talking about.
So they're going to do a 2-lot subdivision and connect the buildings to be one structure.
Yes.
And one septic system.
Each lot.
One septic system for
Each
each
lot.
Each lot has its own, gonna have its own septic. I mean, you know, there's various ways we can do a septic system. We can make it 1 system, 2, 3, you know.
For one structure.
All we're concerned about is what they're asking for as far as bedrooms go. They have adequate area to do that. And to verify that they did, I required them to, Stacy Lane, he has the technology equipment to do it. He laid all the lines out on contours, so we already have a site plan for the system. How many feet we need for each city on the report.
What's
I would
he saying
recommend
he's
doing
using
that.
this for now?
Pardon?
What's he saying he's using this for now? Just residential?
Yes. It could be rental, I don't know. I mean, you know, people rent stuff out. They got a wedding venue right there. Be a good place for somebody to stay overnight.
Mr. Chairman?
They're there at a wedding.
Yes. I have a question, and maybe Stephanie could or Catherine could answer. Does the authority for the planning commission, or excuse me, the zoning office to approve a 2-block plat, does that come from TCA code, or does that come from something in our subregs, or?
It's
Yes.
a Tennessee code
Okay,
that allows it.
and the county doesn't have to adopt, or?
Even if the planning commission has authorized the staff to do 2 lot subdivisions.
Has that occurred?
We've done it for years.
Do we know when that happened?
98 or 99.
It was early zoning
Right after they put zoning in, they gave them that authority.
Okay,
on the 2 lot, 1 and 2 lots.
okay. So there was a resolution passed by the, I guess by the county commission in the late 90s.
You have to go back.
I was 3, so I don't know.
You still wet behind here.
What were you doing on this one?
Still is. So it's a slight difference.
Yeah.
As far as what gave them authority or how it was done, Austin, I do not know. That's before I was on the body.
Well, moving forward, I would prefer that all the rezonings just come before this body.
Now, that's
And I
not,
think-
that's not rezoning. Rezoning, this body does not have authority.
We're not talking about rezoning, we're talking about the,
Right, you're talking
2 lot
about
subdivision.
regulation. That rests with this planning commission. You said county commission.
I don't know where the authority was granted, and that would be a question, Priscilla would have some road knowledge about that. And he would be able to tell when it came about, how it was done, whatever. And Miss Stephanie may be able to say
I don't-
how, when it was,
I bet everybody
know,
wanted
because
one.
I was- Since I've been here.
but it was put in since early on the zoning thing because of some, and I remember some stuff coming up where there was some family parcels divided, and it was, had to go back to where Karen Everett, some of those were on here, and people were cutting lots on to have somebody build on a farm or something like that, or build on a piece of ground, and they granted that authority to them.
Mr. Chairman, would the resolution granting this authority, even if it's, would that not be in our zoning regs? Would it?
We're talking about subdivision law.
Okay,
Subdivision law is in a separate, section of the code than zoning law. Only the planning commission has authority for subdivision regulations, like any amendments we're doing, that doesn't even go to the county commission. The zoning program is the exact opposite. This is a recommending body, and then, any changes, just like the one you just did, has to go to the county commission for actual adoption. Your approval is a recommendation to the legislative body.
but wouldn't the resolution, even if it was passed in the late 90s, would it still not appear in our subregs then?
It might not appear in the subregs, but, as a policy, usually, it is a resolution that the planning commission adopts.
Okay, I would like to pull that resolution and this body review it. I just don't
I
know.
don't know. I have to check with the county commission, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Oh gosh, that's a lot much.
I would probably check with Mr. Frank and see if where that was, how it was done, or,
Just have a look at resolutions in the late 90s and.
like I say, that goes way back, and I know why it was put in, and I know why the authority was granted, I just don't know when and how it was done.
Okay, well, can you check with Frank Herndon on that and have that at our February meeting to get the resolution? Do you need that in a motion? Okay.
Thank you for resolutions.
Well, the clerk would, I mean, he'd have everything.
So, yes, Brooks,
Frank.
Lance, next one.
We have citizen comments. I do have a citizen that couldn't stay. They left me theirs. I'll read it to the body if that's permissible. This is the comments from Mr. Bill Billers. He said he couldn't stay to the end of the meeting and just asked that I would read this.
I'm sorry, who's it from?
Mr. Bill Billers, can I just go ahead and read it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm reading this on behalf of a citizen, Bill Billers, at 2202 Arrowhead Drive. I'm assuming that's in Dandridge. He says, I'm speaking for my family and concerned residents about Grace Contractors LLC sheds at 2251 Jim Henry Road. Grace has a history of seemingly ignoring county and state zoning, building, and environmental codes by constructing 2 sheds for a 6-3-24 camp, not allowed in A1. 2 residents saw bunk beds inside a shed. 19 names, 10 beds were posted as sleeping assignments, bunkhouse on shed window, no septic, occupancy, etc. Grace's history of seemingly bypassing codes could continue after occupancy approval by ignoring safety, habitation, and other codes. But more building and subdividing happened after the currently proposed 1-to-2 split. Grace wanted 6 buildings total. The plot map has a shared septic system like Grace used for a concentrated housing subdivision in Sevier County. Track 1 of the Forest Glen subdivision plat map, lots 1 and 2 is labeled Forest Glory subdivision, subdivision within a subdivision question. Is the plat properly authorized under county and state codes or not? What specific code allows 2 buildings 20 feet apart to be categorized as one? Why is septic approval for 4 bedrooms, each for 2 buildings, not 1 building? Do you want these buildings in your backyards? Build sheds fast and get occupancy anyway. Precedents will allow that. Illegal border crossings create more risk. 45% of Tennessee's minor sex trafficked kids are 13, 17 years old. Where are the 13 and 19-year-old Grace Camp attendees coming from? I can't know either. The violent Venezuelan gang is trafficking humans in all major Tennessee cities and quickly expanding. 450,000 illegal minors were recently lost by DHS. Thank you. Again, that was from Bill Billers.
I don't know if I can respond to this, because environmental was brought up, or I'll wait till later.
I understand. I was just reading that off the house.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, first off, I've sat here for 2 months and 3 months, listening to people be called Venezuelan gang, cartel. These people aren't even from Venezuela. I'm getting people putting my name, our office, Stephanie's office, on Facebook saying we're getting kickbacks, and I take offense to that. Just because somebody don't like their neighbor, you should have bought the property before they moved in. You had the right to buy. Now you're trying to say that these people should not be in this neighborhood. Who's to say you're not supposed to be in this
Wait a
neighborhood?
second, I live in that neighborhood.
Well, let me
let me
finish. I asked to speak, and I'm
Go ahead,
saying my
speak.
piece.
Go ahead.
Because I've been accused of taking bribes.
I don't know what you've been taking rights on.
Well,
but
I'm
I know 100
listening to
yards from
people.
that.
Listen, I'm talking.
Well, finish talking, because I.
Chairman, do I have the floor? I've listed all these comments all over this county. I was called before the meeting today. I had a gentleman come in the other day that don't even live over there. And I don't know where you people are coming from that you think that you ought to be able to tell anybody that moves in your neighborhood what they can and can't do with their residents. What those people provided our offices, the environmental and the zoning department and the building department, they have met all the codes, all the regulations that they need to meet to be approved what they're wanting to do over there. And it's what I've been telling people for 2 weeks. You're barking up a tree you ain't gonna climb because they've been approved and there's nothing you do about it. Now, you can gripe all you want, but do not accuse my office and this office of taking bribes. And calling people names that you don't even know who they are and what they are. We're supposed to get along in this community. And if you can't get along, my advice is you need to move out. Because I'm sitting here, you wasted my time tonight because I'm sitting here so I can make this comment
How
tonight
come they weren't
for 2 hours.
up to code ever before and all of a sudden now they are?
They've been coached for 21 years. I don't want to get in no argument. You can look, they've been coached for 21 years and it doesn't been illegal.
Hey, what was that here?
So that's my comment.
Well, thank you so much. I live 100 yards from that so-called shed. It is a youth hospital. These people are, and I know about this family. I talked to the son of the owner. They're from Venezuela.
No, they are not.
Argentina.
They are
I
not.
know the kid. I talked to them.
I don't care where you got your mouth. They are not running. Well, I'm not going to
Point of
argue.
order,
Y'all
Chairman, point of order.
don't know nothing
Let
about
me
it.
tell you.
Are the American citizens?
Somehow they snuck past this commission. They should not have been approved. This is not, you
So
totally
if
did
they're
the
a mix,
wrong
I ain't
thing.
supposed to approve them, right?
You
If we're
did
being
the-
what?
Maybe you are taking
Should
something.
I take,
Because
if you're from
something
New
is
York,
good.
and I'm not
Point of
approving.
order, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
I do too.
I don't,
Now, I'm gonna tell you something, Mr. Bob.
this,
All
they've done is reset the table.
Mr. Bob.
200
Mr.
people
Bob.
came here.
Mr. Bob, sit down just a second. If we're sitting on this board, you've got to conduct yourself with a little bit.
Well,
I know you're aggravated, and if you
I
want
live
to
in
have
that
it,
community.
if you want to have a conversation, otherwise, but you are a city commissioner on this board,
Well-
and you need to act as such.
Mr. Chairman, do we have citizens who have waited here for 3 hours to make comments?
We do, we have 3.
If they would like to, can we please let them make their comments?
This should not be happening. You all disapproved this thing and it snuck past them. You disapproved it and it's still, somehow they went around it. I was there at the meeting when you rejected it with prejudice. You rejected it, now all of a sudden came back. Nothing has changed. All they did was reset the table. And if they approved, by who? Who approved it?
The zoning office.
The zoning people? They shouldn't have approved it.
Mr. Bob.
That's why I've asked to pull the resolution so that we can review that and we can change it moving forward, that all plat approvals would come before this body. And we're going to discuss that at the February meeting.
Chairman, I'd like to get all of us for adjourned and have the people speak and so on. Yeah, and get this over and then we can have a discussion.
All right. Kathleen Villers.
Kathleen Billers, 2202 Arrowhead Drive, Dandridge. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and other concerned citizens regarding the zoning and rules on property subdivision. And in some respects, this will have a few redundant comments from what's just been discussed previously. Question, are we following subdivision regs? Are we following them all the time in Jefferson County? And I'm referencing the subdivision regs, April 12, 2004. Noted November 26, 2024, the sheds were denied without prejudice by this commission. Our understanding was that Grace would need to resubmit and come back before this particular committee, but that has not happened. Instead, in-house approvals were given, and many citizens became angry about how they were handled. Many felt that this was done secretly. Recent communication from the zoning office said that they have the authority to approve this per section 133402 Tennessee Code annotated. Zoning said, this is the way we've just done things for quite some time, that since Tim Seals has been here. Zoning said when everything was going before the BZA RPC meetings, that sometimes those meetings would last very late. So I think what it comes down to is the question that remains is, did the Regional Planning Commission officially designate someone in-house to do these approvals? And was it done in a public meeting? And as we look at some of the interpretation of Section 13.3.402, the TCA, or Tennessee Code annotated, it suggests that the designation should be to RPC, Regional Planning Committee staff. I'm not sure if zoning is RPC staff. And then also, a question that's out there is, why did the approach change? In 2024, the 3-lot subdivision was coming before the RPC. It seemed unusual that after the November meeting, that the approach switched to a 2-lot subdivision with approval in-house granted in late 2024-25. So anyway, I think the key point comes down to, have we seen in writing the authority to have approvals of 2-lot subdivisions being in-house? And I just have a couple of key highlighted quotes from this particular subdivision regs that I think are very, very pertinent. It said, a final plat becomes the instrument to be recorded in the Register of Deeds in Jefferson County when approved by the Regional Planning Commission and duly signed by the Commission's Secretary. What we noticed on the plat is that this survey was not signed by the Regional Planning Commission Secretary, but instead on December 16th, signed by a member of the zoning staff, Stephanie Ruskin. And so, given that, what it comes down to is really, was this approval appropriate? There's a couple of added things that go on. As I'm looking at further into the subdivision regs, it talks about enforcement and penalties. The enforcement: no plat or plan of a subdivision of land into 2 or more lots within the area of the planning jurisdiction shall be admitted to the land records of Jefferson County or received or recorded by the county register until that said plat or plan has received final approval in writing by the Regional Planning Commission as provided for in Section 13.3.402 Tennessee Code annotated. It further goes on to say there's penalties. No county register shall receive, file, or record a plat or subdivision within the region without the approval of the Planning Commission, signature of the Regional Planning Commission Secretary, and any county register doing so is deemed guilty of a misdemeanor. So that was not a good thing to read. And then also any building or structure associated with this would be deemed an unlawful building or structure, and that the county would have the right to vacate or remove it. So folks, when it comes down to it, I'm also listening to these dates, and just a couple final points here. The dates are also bothering me a bit too. If this was approved in some resolution in 1998, thereabouts, then shouldn't that point be in our Jefferson County subdivision regs dated 2004? That was subsequent to 1998. I don't see anything in writing about it. And then as I look at the Tennessee Code annotated, which if we have appropriate authority to delegate it, the Section 13.3.402 Tennessee Code annotated, I believe, was approved, the most recent version, in 2023. So I support, let's get the facts in here and see what did occur. But also, quite frankly, I think it is important to get along. But what I share with you is right now the public views something happened very secretively and they're reacting. And folks, transparency I think is so important. And so thank you for letting me make these comments. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jim
I'd like
Ross.
to make, may I speak? Now that I was not able to articulate my feelings and views on this situation, I should not.
Mr. Paul, he's got to
We're following Robert's Rules of Order.
let, we've got citizens speak.
Okay, let citizens speak.
They spent a lot of time out here, you gotta let them speak, it's their turn.
Jim F. Fox. Mr. Fox, you here?
Thank you for giving me a chance to speak, etc. Again, this is about Grace. My name is Tim Fox, Adeline Trail in Andrew. Grace Construction, started out, they were granted 2 permits to build 2 sheds. They immediately built 2 3,200 square foot buildings. Then they asked for zoning for a church tent, and they were denied to do for several reasons. One being out of compliance with the permit, 1 out of compliance with their zoning, 3 out of compliance with several county codes, and 4 out of compliance with several TDEC orders compliances. So the question, and so then they asked for a permit to create a new subdivision. This was postponed due to confusion as who said what, when, where, and how, and why. And this commission ordered all the relevant parties to come before this board, and so commission, I said board and commission, I mean the same thing, to get to the bottom of who said what, when, where, why, and how. And so that didn't happen. And then the permit was denied. So now they come, they did not follow the procedures that this commission said, you need to come talk to us and explain what's going on. They did not do that. They have circumvented the directions of this commission, went straight to the zoning office, and then granted a permit for a 2-lot subdivision. The zoning office knew or should have known that granting a permit would have been in violations of this county and the will and the spirit of this commission. I don't understand why somebody would want to do that, especially as much as a hot button issue that this whole church camp has been. They usurped your authority. And as far as the authority, was the TDEC and county code violations satisfied when they were issued their permits? The ones that were mentioned months before, did they satisfy those things and get the permits to go with the subdivision and the permits and et cetera that they asked for and got? I can repeat what Ms. Villers said, that the jurisdiction, any landowner is required to submit their plans for subdivision to the planning commission. And the assistant director, again, I'll repeat what was said, was asked if there was a document in writing that gave her the authority to do that, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know. And the TDEC, the Tennessee Code of Minority that you quoted is 13-3-402 says the planning commission has the right to, after a public hearing, to vote to allow a staff member of the planning commission to make these decisions on lots less than 25, subdivisions less than 25 lots and some other factors. So this specifically says a member of the staff of the planning commission. Now, so the question is the zoning department part of this now, or is it not? If it's not, she overstepped her authority. And I can go into about the register, which she's already talked about, and here she's talking about. This has been a huge concern for the public, even packing this very courtroom multiple times. And these same, I'm gonna call them shenanigans, that has occurred with the Piedmont Quarry, the Best Battery Storage, the Carm Homeless Shelter, and et cetera. And nearly all of them ending up being legal issues for this county, usurping taxpayer money to defend ourselves and what's being done. And so, you know, we just passed a wheel tax to help pay for some of that. This so-called church group started as sheds, then went to church camps, then went to cabins, then bunkhouses, and now residences. What is next? One of the 10 Commandments says, "Thou shalt not bear false witness." Can they be trusted to tell the truth? Why would a zoning office take it upon themselves to violate the order and spirit of this commission? Do we know if the TDEC issues have been taken care of? Grace Construction has stated that they plan to build 3 more buildings. What is to stop them from 6 months from now doing another 2-lot subdivision, putting up a building, and then coming back later, 6 months later, divide it into another 2-lot subdivision, put up another building, and then divide it again and put up another building? And then they got what they were looking for. I think their permit should be invalidated since it was improperly signed and issued until a review by this commission is done and a stop work order issued. And that if the assistant zoning director exceeded her authority, she should be disciplined and removed from consideration for the director of the zoning department. Thank you. Thank you.
That'll be it for the citizens. I'll say it for the citizens.
May I speak now? I'm not looking. May I speak now?
Yes, go ahead.
When does a zoning individual make decisions about something that you all regret? I was here when you all rejected this. You rejected this thing. All these people have done is reshuffle, reset the table, but they're doing exactly what they intended to do in the first place. This is going to be a youth hostel. There's going to be 30, 40 individuals from some foreign country coming in our neighborhood. In fact, what they've done is they've created a subdivision within our subdivision, which I think is incorrect as well. Somebody ought to check into that. They created a subdivision within our subdivision. And I want to check that. Now, I don't know why you approved this thing. You had no authority to do that. It was rejected by this committee. Why did you accept it? There were 300 people here. There were 300 people here outraged. And still you just took it upon yourself to approve this. That was incorrect, and there was something wrong here. Something smells around this issue.
I think you should take heed, the gentleman should read the Bible, but don't make false witnesses. So
Really?
don't call people something you
I
don't know what you're talking about.
You have no authority to do what you did. Look,
I know I'm out of order. They've been out of order.
you were out of order making that decision by yourself.
Mr. Chairman, I move
First time they
Have a motion to adjourn, have a second.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.